understand some of the challenges. And if you have any questions at all, reach out to me. I put my LinkedIn URL in the chat, and Linda, take it away.
Thank you. And I've got my LinkedIn, or we'll put my information in the chat as well. There we go. All right. So we are recording and we're going to move forward. So we're going to start with a couple of quick wins. We want to limit this today because we've got so many questions about LinkedIn and job search. So if anybody has a quick win to share, please raise your digital hand so that we can support you. All right. I'm going to share one from one of our people. Don't know whether you remember her, but Michelle Taldo, I can't even pronounce it. Taldalore.
Calderon.
Thank you. Okay. Just let me know that she started a brand new job this week and she's very excited. Okay. And some of the tips and tricks that she learned here and in other platforms also helped her as well. So is there any other quick win? Otherwise, we're going to start our program. Remember, a quick win can be anything from you had an interview, didn't go well, or you found a new way of connecting with someone, you heard back from someone. All right, not going to worry about it. We're going to start our program. So our program today is all about LinkedIn and job search. And one of the things we're excited about is being able to answer as many of your questions as we possibly can. Remember to put your questions in the chat as well as raising your digital hand. If you're putting a question in the chat, please type question all in caps so that we can make sure that we can find it if we don't see you on screen. Okay, I'm going to introduce our speaker for today, who's one of my go-tos for LinkedIn and everything job search, Brenda Meller. And I'm going to let Brenda go ahead and introduce yourself. By the way, if you are not speaking, would you please mute yourself? Because otherwise it gets to be very confusing in here. Okay, Brenda, take it away.
All right, delighted to be here with all of you. I'm at the tail end of a cold and I've got a cough drop in right now. So bear with me if I need to get a sip of water and unmute myself. I hear the colds are kind of going around and you get this like 100-day cough at the end of it. So hopefully mine will be trickling off here, but delighted to be here with all of you. My name is Brenda Meller. I see many familiar faces here that are a part of our Friday VIP job seeker office hours. We do once a month. Linda and Kenneth are also a part of that group, among other all-stars that help us out with that. And I see many new faces with all of you in here as well. I'm delighted to be here with all of you. I do specialize in LinkedIn. I come from a corporate marketing background, and I'm always thinking about who is your ideal target audience, what are your business or your career goals as it relates to using LinkedIn. And I'm a big believer in social media karma, helping others, paying it forward. Linda and Kenneth helped me on my calls. So when Linda reached out to me and said, hey, can you come on my call? I said, absolutely, happy to return the favor. So delighted to be here. And Linda, I'll turn the floor back over to you.
Okay, so what we're going to be doing today is a Q&A. LinkedIn job search is tough enough. So what we're trying to do is make sure that we get as many of your questions answered as possible. So if you've got a question about using LinkedIn for job search, now's your chance. Okay, I'm going to start with one. Okay, I was on a call several weeks ago, or I guess earlier this week, with Kevin Turner. By the way, we're trying to get Kevin Turner to come talk to us as well, trying to work out some scheduling issues. But one of the things he mentioned was we talked a little bit about endorsements. Mm-hmm. And we know that endorsements are very different than recommendations. Brenda, what's your view of endorsements and trying to make sure that we get as many endorsements as possible? Is that important?
Great question. So endorsements, what you're referring to, Linda, are affiliated with skills. So there's a section of your LinkedIn profile where you can now add up to 100 skills. It used to be 50, but they said that wasn't enough. So now they give us the ability to add up to 100 skills. First of all, I think it's really important that you look through your skills list and make sure that those skills are relevant to what you have in terms of skill sets and what you want to use in your next job. But also, as you're looking at your skills section, keep in mind that the way that LinkedIn orders them is like the last skill that you've added will go to the top of your skills list. So most people are only going to see the top 2 skills are the last 2 that you've added. Make sure that those top 2 are the top 2 skills that you want to be known for. Now, as it relates to endorsements, the way that it works is you would have to be connected to a person. So let's say I wanted to give Linda an endorsement for one of her skills. I need to be a first level connection of her. And then when I scroll down to that skill section of her profile, it's really easy. Just click on endorse, and it's a simple thing to do. What happens after you've endorsed someone for their skill, LinkedIn will send a message to them and it will say, Brenda Meller endorsed you for career strategy and 2 other skills. Now that provides a really great conversational opportunity. Linda might reach back to me and say, thanks for doing that, Brenda. How are things going for you? So if you've worked with people, I think it's a great way of, giving them kind of an attaboy or an attagirl, so to speak, by giving them an endorsement for their skill. A while back, there was some information circulating that if you wanted to come up to the top of search results for your skills, you had to get 99 plus endorsements. So a
Oh
lot of
my.
us were kind of like, okay, well, let's try to get more endorsements for our skills. But I think what is happening now, when you think about when you're doing a search for people on LinkedIn, in the regular version, not LinkedIn Recruiter, but in the regular version of LinkedIn, you'll get some results at the top of the page. Like if I was looking for accounting as a skill, the first person might not even be in accounting. So it's kind of like, why would that person appear at the top of search results? But then as I go down, I'm going to see people with a rich background in accounting. And the word accounting is not just in the skills section with 99 endorsements, but it's sprinkled in other places throughout their profile as well. So rather than just focusing all of your time and effort on collecting these endorsements up to try to come up in more search results, my recommendation is, let's do what we can control and let's pay it forward and help others, especially fellow job seekers, by going in their skills section and clicking on endorsements. That's an easy thing to do. You don't have to necessarily exchange endorsements. I don't give an endorsement to get one. But I think it's an easy way of giving someone an endorsement for an area of expertise that you know that they have and potentially helping them to come up in more search results.
Wonderful. One of the things Kevin suggested was actually doing an endorsement party,
Mm-hmm.
okay, to try and increase the number of endorsements. And I wasn't quite sure about that.
Yeah, I've done that in my job seeker office hours before, and I think it can be an easy way of creating, that social media karma, that goodwill amongst fellow job seekers, and an easy way of generating a lot of endorsements. And I look right now on the call, there's 49 of us. If we all did that with each other, we would get 49 more endorsements for our top skills. But if you're going to do an endorsement party, what I would recommend is that before you do it, make sure that your top 2 skills are the top 2 things that you want to be known for. And then after you get those in place, then say, okay, let's do our endorsement party, and then drop your URLs into chat. And that way you're not having to hunt around for which skills to endorse people for. But I
I
don't
think
think
that,
there's anything wrong with it necessarily. Some people will say, well, Brenda, I don't know that person very well. I don't know that he knows a lot about accounting, so I don't want to give him an endorsement for that skill. And that's really a personal preference. So yeah, certainly something you could do. I don't think there's anything wrong with it necessarily.
so I may ask that question in our private group. I'm going to put the link in the private group as well. Okay. I see a couple of questions in the chat. So we're going to get started with those.
Sure.
Okay. I just lost it.
Let me know if you want me to read them or if you want to pull them
If
up.
you
It's up
can
to you.
find it, either way.
Okay. I'm just seeing one right now from Stacy who says, if I'm no longer at my position, should I update my LinkedIn profile? And if so, what do I put? This is such a great question, Stacy. And first I want to say that sorry you're no longer at your employer. LinkedIn does have some analytics with regards to having a fully complete profile. And you may have noticed that when you have a current employer, they'll say you'll come up in more search results. So I don't know if it's like 24% or 42% more search results. I don't know what their number is. Now, the flip side of that is if you don't have a current employer in your experience section, you're going to be penalized in search results. So my advice to you is if you have just left your employer, whether by choice or not, don't put an end date in there right away. Now, you might want to go into the description block for that employer and put things in the past tense, right? Um, but I would say give it some time. I usually say don't put an end date right away. If it's been like 6 months, a year, or from a mental perspective, a mental health perspective, you need to close that date off, then just make sure that you have another organization in your experience section. Now, it doesn't need to be a paid job necessarily. It could be that you're a member of a national organization or a member of Toastmasters or a public speaking group or something like that. Or maybe you do volunteer work with Gleaners, for example. Maybe you serve on a board, so you could have board member at ABC Company. If you don't want to do any of those things, or maybe they don't apply to your specific situation, there are company pages out there on LinkedIn that are literally called open to work or open to new opportunities. So you could put yourself as a marketing director at open to new opportunities. So that way you're linking to a page and you're bypassing that penalty in the algorithm for not having a current employer, but you're also being truthful in that you're not working for a company, you're looking for a new job. So that's what I recommend on there. And Stacey, if you need any additional clarification on that, do go ahead and comments and let us know.
Thank you very much. I see another one from, let's see, David Solomon.
Okay. Do you
For
want to
those
read
of
it
us,
off? I'm not seeing that one.
for those of us who don't have LinkedIn Premium, we're limited to the number of search results when looking for people to reach out to. What are some ways to get around the limitation in terms of search results?
Oh, good question. So, yeah, LinkedIn does put this kind of penalty in, or not, this limitation, I think is a better way of limitation to how many profiles you can search. And then you'll get that message that will say you've reached the commercial search limit. You need to upgrade to premium in order to continue to search profiles. I'll be honest, I don't really hit that often. And it makes me wonder if are you doing searches for recruiters, hiring managers, for people that are in your targeted job title? So make sure that you're using those searches strategically to grow your network and to support your job search. I have heard, David, that if you're reaching the commercial search limit on desktop, sometimes you can go on the mobile app and you can continue to do some searches. Eventually, you'll get that commercial search limit message there as well. The other thing you could do is if you haven't used premium in a while, you can sign up for premium and get 1 month for free. And then before the 30 days, just make sure that you cancel that credit card so that you don't get billed for that. So that's another workaround that you could do. Beyond that, if you want to try to find more of the right people, keep in mind that like attracts like. So I'm going to use Linda and Kenneth as two different examples. They are both helping the job seeking community. They are posting regularly about job seeker resources and things like that. If you're looking to connect with more job seekers, look at their posts. See who's going in the reactions and comments and find people from there. Alternatively, if you're looking to connect with a specific type of recruiter, look at their profile and see who else they're connected with. So you don't necessarily have to do searches to find those people. You could just be looking at people's profile and seeing common connections, or you can look at their post, their activity feed to find those other people. So hopefully that helps you out, David.
Okay.
Brenda, David Solomon here. Let me maybe step in a little bit on that one.
Yeah.
In my case, for what I search, let's say I'm searching for a potential hiring manager at a company that's within the IT department.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I may not know who the hiring manager may be, given that my role can report into any one of 4, 5, 6 different people, right? Uh, so I generally end up doing a more generic search. Find somebody in IT over at company XYZ.
Mm-hmm.
So it returns 150, 200 people. You start scrolling through it. Okay, and then you may get called away, and then you end up redoing that, and by the time you do it a third time, you've hit 450 results, and you're done for the week, right?
Okay.
Because
Yeah.
you didn't get everything down. You go out of one page, you come back in. It's always counting against you. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out, how do you get around that particular situation when you have to run multiple generic searches, or more generic, in order to find somebody who might be a second level connection, right? Because you can go to the company page and just hit IT and do that, but you want to
Yeah.
find somebody who's a second level connection, right? An easier way where it comes up, it says, okay, you got there are 15,000 people here. You click on, you say, give me people that are in the company now. Who are my second level connections? You come down to 130 people. So, you still are, each of those searches go against you,
Yeah.
right? So I'm trying to figure out how do you get around it? Because by the time you hit your third company or your second company and you're doing that to find those second level connections,
Right.
you've run out by the first week of the month.
Yeah.
So I'm just
So,
the ways
so
around it.
yeah, so two thoughts there, David. First is when you do the search, try to apply as many filters in the first round of your search as possible. So instead of clicking on second, search results, and then adding a title, search results, like try to put as many of the criteria as possible in that first round search. The other thing I'm thinking is rather than trying to find one person, which is literally a needle in a haystack type of an exercise, why not try to find other people who work in that department, make the connection to them, get the conversation started, and then maybe ask for that introduction. So rather than just trying to find that one person who is the hiring manager, maybe try to find other people that work in the department in that role and connect with them. Does that help?
I think I can get through to that one. It's more so when you're trying to find those second level
Yeah.
connections that, there's only one place where you can really do that, right? When you do the people search. It's the only way that's going to tell you immediately, these are your second level connections.
Right.
And so that's where you would run into those. I've run into that limitation more frequently than not, and
Yeah.
very early on. So I'm trying to look for ways around.
Alternatives. Yeah, I hear you. And I mean, LinkedIn is a business, and most of us do use the site for free. And it sounds like in your scenario, if you're continuing to use it and run up against a search limit, they do have Premium Career, which is a lower cost version. It's $39.99 per month. You typically get 1 month free, so the first month would be free, and then it's $39 per month after that. So at some point, it might be worth the investment.
Okay.
Rather than trying to find all these different loopholes and ways. I mean, you're spinning your wheels and you're wasting a lot of time doing that. And I feel the frustration because it's like, why are they penalizing us? But come end of the day, they're a business and they're trying to, create a revenue model to be sustainable.
Thank you, Brenda.
Yeah, you're welcome.
By the way, as a reminder, every time you're doing this, every time you're doing these searches, if you are connected to any of us, you're connected to all of our connections too. That's what that second and third level means. You can also go in and search your connections to see if there's anybody at the company that you're interested in. That gives you an automatic idea that you can reach out to those people. Those will be your second or third level connections. Okay, I'm going to go to somebody who's raised their hand.
Linda, can I just chime in here real quickly? I mean, maybe
Yeah.
you can answer this one. We're a member of Lunch and Learn, right?
Yes.
So being a member of Lunch and Learn, I can look at other members in the group that I would either want to reach out to and connect with. Now that they become second level connections at that point. How do I find who their second level connections are or first level connections who might be at that company, because that now is a third level connection, and I don't know if that's as easy to find. Is there another way to do that?
So actually there is. So if you're connecting with the people in our private group, they then become your first level connections. So their connections are now your second level. But what I would do would be to go into your connections, okay, your tab for connections, and see who is connected at that company. You can check for first and second level connections there and then reach out to those people. Does that help at all?
I know what you're saying. Thank you. I'm
Can I-
trying to see other ways to do this, but thank you.
Can I share a screen too,
Yes,
Linda?
please.
And I just thought of another thing that I could offer as advice for David too. So I just looked up Kenneth Lang as an example here. Let me just go back to show you where I was at on his profile. So I looked up Kenneth Lang and we have many common connections. So when I click on 500 plus connections, it's showing me all people who are first or second level. So if I could click on, first to remove just to see if he has second level connections. And then you can start to apply filters from there too.
Exactly.
Oh. The other thing you could do, David, and I'm not recommending that you do this because LinkedIn tells us that we should only have one LinkedIn account. Okay. So you know where I'm going with this. you could create a second account and you could create a third account. But I would be very careful that you don't create it with the same name because you don't want to get dinged and you don't want to get your account flagged. I've had 2 conversations in the past week with identity issues where LinkedIn, the person was changing their security password. They did like 2 or 3 things and it kind of got flagged and then their account got locked up and they were out for 48 hours. So what you might want to do, and I'm not saying that you do this, but here is a workaround, is create a new LinkedIn profile, log into it, log out of the app on your phone, log into it from your phone, do the searches from there on that new account, and then invite them to connect on the desktop. Okay.
Thank
Now
you.
that's a lot more work, but it's a workaround. And then when you reach the search limit on that, then you move to a third account. And you've got to give it a new name, and it has to be private so people aren't looking you up and trying to connect with you and nothing's filled out in there. I'm not saying you do it, but hey, if you want some creative ways of doing this as a workaround, that's a creative way of doing it.
Thank you.
Just remember to connect from your main account, not from your dummy account.
Yep.
Okay, Joanne has her hand up.
Hey, Joanne, how are you?
I have to find you again.
I don't know if there's a question in chat. I'm
I hit
scrolling through.
unmute.
It's fine.
Sorry to hear you're not feeling so well. So I guess my question is, I get a lot of notifications
Mhm.
that, recruiters have viewed my profile, but, none of them ever reach out to me. And when I look at their profile, it's like, they're recruiters or,
Mhm.
Talent acquisition, whatever. And it says, marketing, technology, and, specific industries. And, I'm just looking for a basic administrative customer service position.
Mhm.
And it seems hard to find people out there on LinkedIn that, I know they're out there, I've seen them,
Mhm.
but Linda, I think knows this. My ultimate goal is to become a healthcare advocate. And I found a wonderful group of people, advocates that are very supportive, and I've connected with them. But in the meantime, I do need to find something else
Mhm.
until that gets going.
Okay.
Any suggestions, on how to
Yeah.
kind of get myself noticed in that world of jobs?
Yeah. So customer service or an admin role, is that correct? What you're looking for?
Yeah, admin, pretty much.
Okay.
That's been my background.
Okay. So I always tell people like 50% of your job search should be you looking for jobs, looking at the job board, applying for jobs, all that other. The other 50% should be you making yourself actively known and bringing up visibility for yourself. So things like you already indicated it, looking the recruiter up that posted the job. If you have the credits available where you can add a personal note when you're inviting them to connect. If you've run out of those credits, then find a recent post that they've done. They usually are posting jobs. Add a comment, even something like adding a comment to help spread the word. You're creating some nice social media karma. They're going to appreciate that you've done that. Then go and click on invite, even if you don't have the ability to add a note. They're going to go, oh, Joanne Mashkovitz, that name sounds familiar. She just commented on my post. They're more likely to accept it. Now, some recruiters will accept your invitation and other people will not. You can't control that, but just keep doing it. And when they do accept, then you send them a really nice note back. Thanks, Donna, for accepting my LinkedIn invitation. I see that you're a recruiter. If you ever come across admin opportunities, I'm definitely interested. Otherwise, if I can ever be a resource for you, let me know. So you're doing the reciprocal. Here's what I'm here for. This is what I need. And let me know what you need, and I can help you. So you're just building some nice, karma there. The other thing I would do is, and I posted this in the chat earlier, I'm going to pull the link up and post it again in there, tips to increase your visibility as a candidate during job search. So things like after I've applied at ABC Company for a particular position, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to follow their company page. So look up the company page and click on follow. Then I'm going to scroll down to that company page's about section. And if they have the box that says interested in working with us in the future, I'm going to click on I'm interested. Some company pages will, some don't, but I'm going to click on I'm interested. That will help you to come up to the top of recruiter searches for those people that are searching for positions. Then go to the company page, click on posts, find a recent post and add a thoughtful comment there. Okay. Then go to the employee section, click on employees and find 3 to 5 employees to invite to connect, preferably within the department, or maybe there are other customer service associates that work there. Invite them to connect. If you've got the credits, add a note. If not, try to go to the activity feed first, add a thoughtful comment, make yourself known, and then invite them to connect. After they accept, thanks, David, for accepting my invitation. I see that you're a customer service associate at ABC Company. I'm curious, what's the culture like there? So you're just warming them up. You're not saying, here's my resume, how do I get in? You're just kind of saying, hey, I'm interested, but what do you think of the company? You know, getting a conversation started. After you've gone back and forth, then you might earn the right to say, I see that there's some LinkedIn jobs, but is there a better way to apply, or do you know anything about the hiring process there? And then your good friend David, who's now chitty-chatting with you, he's going to be like, oh, don't go to LinkedIn, go to the jobs board on the website. Or even better yet, you might get lucky and David might say, actually, we've got an employee referral program. Give me your resume and I'll slide it over to the hiring manager, right? And this is a numbers game. You know, this isn't not, you know, you're not going to, you know, I would love it if you found your job opportunity on the first time you're trying this. But the more likely possibility is some of these people will accept invitations and some won't. Some will get into conversations and others won't. But the more often you do these techniques, the more visible you become as a candidate. And then you're not just relying upon, I call it the black hole of job search, where you're just relying on them. Don't rely on them. That's 50% of it. The other 50% is you making yourself active and known and visible and growing your network. Does that help?
It does a lot. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I'm going to add something to that as well, and if anybody else wants to add as well. But one of the things we're finding is that human resource people are saying that the more people you're connected to in our company, the more likely we are to reach out to you.
Okay.
It's not necessarily that there's anything going on. It's not that necessarily that they can recommend you, but you've already made those connections, which shows that you have that interest. So that is another way of doing it. The other thing is, instead of waiting for one of those networking connections necessarily to, after you've warmed them up and you've made the connection and you've had the conversations, to say, you know, we have that employee referral program. Would you like me to send your resume through? I can walk it in. You can always ask them by saying, does your company have an employee referral program? I'm about to apply. Would you like me to list you so you get the bonus if I'm hired? Many people are more willing to do it that way than actually walking your resume through, because they're not necessarily saying, I know this person and I'm speaking for them, but it still counts as an employee referral from the company's standpoint. So that's another trick that you might try.
Awesome. Thank you both.
You're welcome. Okay, I'm going to do one more from Jim. You willing to come on camera?
Oh, no, thank you. So, Brenda, as far as like getting recognized, is it a good idea? Maybe it's not a bad idea, but creating content, stories, articles, posts.
Yeah, absolutely. The more comments and conversations that you get in, the more likely that people might stumble upon your name and they go, oh, that was a really thoughtful reply. Like, let's say I'm looking for a job as a marketing director. I'm going to comment on posts that deal with the marketing industry and different trends and things that are going on there. And maybe even look up other people who work in the marketing industry or maybe work at my targeted companies and start leaving some thoughtful comments there, which helps to demonstrate your expertise. It shows that you're a good LinkedIn community citizen, so to speak. You know, you're participating in those conversations and you're not just relying upon them finding your post, but instead you're contributing to conversations on other people's posts.
Well, creating original posts and going out. I'm just trying to encourage that too, because I have some ideas about posts and articles I might want to produce. And, you know, I've been putting it off too long. So, you know, I just mentioned it to encourage other people to do that as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I always say like posting and network engagement is a two-sided coin. You should be posting at least once a week as a job seeker, at least once a week. Like that's the minimum. And at the same time, you should be spending time in the homepage feed every single day, liking and reacting other people's posts, 2 to 3 times a week, adding a thoughtful comment to other people in the homepage feed as well. If you're only going in and posting, but you're not doing the network engagement, you're losing out on a huge portion of profile
Okay.
views and, visibility there.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, that part, thanks for adding that part because I'm just liking and making quick comments, but yeah, okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
A like doesn't help you as much as a comment, and you want to be able to move the conversation forward if you can. Okay, here's a question from the chat from Bob Matson. So Bob, if you want to expand on that, you can, but it's, Brenda, do you have a workaround to the maybe not recent change regarding the number of message invites an unpaid LinkedIn member is allowed each week or month? Does the limit still exist within a group?
So I think you're referring to InMails. Is that right, Bob? Are you able to unmute?
Yes, I am.
Okay. I honestly don't use InMails at all.
Okay.
Like InMails are the equivalent of a cold email or spam because I haven't given you permission to email me or message me. You're using the LinkedIn credit system for it. I'd rather invite the person to connect, and then after they accept that invitation, then you get the email to message them and it's unlimited. And you have permission. I think that's the key. You have permission. Whereas in InMail, there's actually a way you can shut off InMail. I've shut off my InMails because all I get are on sales pitches from irrelevant salespeople. They're like, "Hey, we can help you with lead generation on LinkedIn," and I'm like, "I'm good," So I've shut them off on there. I have many ways throughout my profile that you can get a hold of me. You can email me directly, instructions on how to connect with me, that type of thing. But InMails, I understand why LinkedIn has them, but my personal philosophy, because think about yourself, when you receive an InMail, they're typically people trying to pitch or sell to you, right? And if it's a situation where you're applying to a job and you're trying to get into a recruiter, there's probably a reason they're not accepting the invitation. So using an InMail, it's like, yeah, you're using the LinkedIn system to do it, but they haven't given you permission. So are they going to respond? I don't know. I'd rather get them to accept an invitation and then get the ability to message them and use that unlimited.
Good
Brenda,
advice. Thank you.
What do you think about the open messaging system? They're not really InMails, but many
Yeah.
profiles have the ability to just do a generalized message from the
Yeah.
profile. I've been actually using that as a way to suggest that people get around that 5 connection message limit a
Yeah.
month. What do you think?
I same thing. I've turned mine off. And if it's working for you, Linda, I say keep it on. But what I found is when I open it, it's irrelevant salespeople. And I think there's a lot of people who are using LinkedIn, just they're spamming and they're just, setting these things on automation and they're not really taking the time to look at people's profiles. So they've kind of diluted the value of what that open message is. But come end of the day, open message is the same thing as an InMail. I think the difference is open message is unlimited, but it's open by default. So I didn't opt in to give people permission. It was already opened up for me. I have to shut it off if I don't want it. So you're not giving people permission. LinkedIn gave people permission, but you have to shut it off. And I think once people discover that they can shut it off, they're starting to shut them off on there. So again, I go with, if you're trying to get into someone's inbox, try to connect with them. If you sent them an invitation, try to include a personal note. Make the invitation all about them or what you have in common with them. Don't say, "Hey, I want to connect because I want to work at your company," because they may not accept it. But instead, "Hi, Drew, we haven't met yet, but I see that we both work in the manufacturing industry and we share 15 common connections, including David Pryor. Let's connect on LinkedIn." After he accepts, "Hi, Drew, I see you work for ABC Company. There's a few job openings there. I'm curious what you think of the working environment." So I did the same thing I talked about earlier. I'm just starting with a slow conversation, engaging them, and then maybe doing the ask later. Do you know what the hiring process is like? Is the best place to apply through the jobs board or through the company website? So moving through the process slower. If they don't accept the invitation, I go into their activity feed and add a thoughtful comment. Sometimes that brings visibility up for you and they may accept it. They may be the type of person who never accepts an invitation. You know what? There are 1 billion LinkedIn members. Move on to the next person. There are other people in the department. And to Linda's earlier comment, the more employees of an organization that you're connected with, the more likely that another employee will accept it because they'll look at you and they'll go, oh, well, she's connected with Joanne and David and Drew and Linda. She's kind of been vetted by them, so I'm more likely to accept it, right? So use that psychology technique there.
Absolutely. Okay. Drew, you had a
Hey,
question.
Drew.
Sure. Hey, Brenda.
Nice to see you.
So I'm working with Brenda, um, with her Level Up group,
Mhm.
and it's, and I've followed Ken for quite a long time and listened to a lot of the suggestions. And two of the things that I've had success with over the last week, you guys had just mentioned. So one was postings. So I had posted a note about my situation that I'm now back in the market, looking for a job, and tagged a number of folks. And I've had close to 11,000 views of that post. And I've had, I don't even remember the number, but a number of people have reposted it. And to my surprise, the folks that reposted it were second and third connections.
Wow.
Even
That's
necessarily some of the first, but a lot of the second and third. So got out there, and the views of my profile have skyrocketed. And then with the adjustments I've made to my profile based on working with Brenda, an internal recruiter reached out to me the other day.
Ooh.
For a position at a company. And when I spoke with her, had a great conversation with her yesterday for about an hour, and she immediately said to me, this is a position that we've not posted. We don't even have a job description yet, but based on the search that I did and you came up in the profile search, and it was based on keywords, right? So I'm looking for a vendor management, procurement, sourcing, senior level job. And she specifically called out vendor management, sourcing, and procurement that they looked for. And I have a hospitality background. They were looking for that, and I've got that in my profile. And I had a number of mutual connections with people in their company, and a lot of second and third connections. So it came up. She reached out. I had a great conversation, and we'll see if something progresses now. But again, utilizing those tips and those techniques really got my profile out there, and I am posting regularly. I am commenting regularly. So it, just doing those type of things and the adjustments I've made to my profile, I think are definitely helping with those search functions from the recruiter. So it's all been really good stuff.
That's awesome. Thanks for sharing, Drew. I dropped the link in the chat for your post for others that might want to check it out, and feel free. Was that about a week ago that you did that, where you're talking about your layoff in mid-December?
About a week and a half ago, yep.
Yeah, so it's not too late. Like, please do continue to comment on that post, and you never know. It's creating like this ripple effect, and you helping Drew might result in you getting some help, and gosh, what a better world this place would be if we were all helping each other.
Yeah.
Paying it forward is so important.
Yeah.
Okay. I know I've missed, there were some some questions about the cost of LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And whether or not that's worth it.
Yeah, so there's a couple different levels of LinkedIn. Most part, people are using the free basic version of LinkedIn. You're not paying for it. It goes up from there. There's premium career, which I believe is $39.99 a month. You get a discount if you pay an annual for that. You can usually get, excuse me, you can usually get 1 month for free. Sometimes they run like a 2-month for free. If you work in the military, I believe they will still give you 1 year for free. And please go into chat if that's the case. I think it's military or their families, something like that. You can also go up from there to business premium. That one I think is $69.99 per month. I might be wrong, but it's about double of what premium career is. You don't have the commercial search limits with that one. You can do more searches on there. And then you can go up to Sales Navigator, which is a whole different site. And then there's LinkedIn Recruiter, which is an entirely different site as well. Those are more expensive from there. Always ask around, because sometimes there's people who have credits where they can give you multiple months, of premium for free. Every once in a while, I'll see a LinkedIn employee who says, I'm going to give a 6-month free out there. So keep your eyes and ears open for there. But I think the lowest price you can get is really $39.99 for the career version of LinkedIn.
Brenda, is that if you pay for it on a monthly basis, or is that if you're
Yes.
paying for it by a year?
Yeah, so that's on a monthly basis, cancel anytime. And if you do the free trial, they do require you to put a credit card on file. And that's why I always tell people cancel before day 30, because if it bills you, you're not going to get your money back. There's no money back. It's just, it bills you for that month. And then at the point that you cancel, you'll get one additional month and then they won't bill you again after that.
Good, thank you. I don't know whether I've missed any additional questions in the chat. Okay, are there other questions?
I have one.
Who's I?
David.
David.
I
David
thought I
Mills.
recognized his voice. Hey,
Yeah,
David, how are you
just-
today?
I'm fine, thanks. Just
Good.
how do I shut off my in-mail messages?
How do you shut off your in-mail messages? Give me
Because you
just
said you
one.
shut yours off. So
Yeah, give me just 1 second and then I'm going to
Okay.
share my screen. They move some things around in
yeah,
the privacy and settings. So give me
I
just 1
tried
second.
asking ChatGPT and I ended up getting stuck.
Yeah, who can reach you messages? Okay, I found it and I'm going to share my screen
Awesome.
and then I'll show you where this is at. It's always fun for me. And I don't work for LinkedIn, by the way. I'm an independent marketing consultant and LinkedIn doesn't push out updates when they make changes on the platform. And sometimes they move things around, like this left navigation, they did an overhaul of it about a year ago and things
You
keep
put
moving.
visibility, right?
So it's not as intuitive, but if you click on data privacy
Data privacy.
in your
Okay.
settings area,
Yeah.
and then you scroll down here, you got to kind of read what they say, but who can reach you? And then there's messages.
Okay.
So I'm going to drop this link in the chat because I think if any of you click on this link, it will take you directly to this page. So you can see I have in-mail shut off. I have open profile shut off,
Okay.
but I'm
Okay,
accessible. You can
privacy.
access me through my profile. You can connect with me. You can comment.
Messages.
You can email me. There's a couple of different ways of doing
Okay,
that.
all right. I think
Yeah.
I'm there. Okay, allow
Okay.
us to send you email. Say no.
Somebody said they like my little dog.
Yep.
This is Pepper. This is her last birthday. She is wearing a birthday crown. It's a little bit blurry on there, but that's
That was
Pepper.
me. I
Yep.
saw your little notice thing there.
And
It's
I've also
interesting to
got
see.
this. I bought this like a year or two back and I haven't done anything with it yet. This is on my to-do list for 20. Because when you go to a restaurant, you're giving people tips. I would love to make like an origami apple
There
and
we
give it to my waitress. Wouldn't that be fun?
It would.
That's a great
Here, we
idea.
actually gave Girl Scout cookies as a tip.
Oh, that's a good
because
idea. I
in
like that.
addition to the cash, but in any
Yeah.
event.
I like that.
I would
One
be
of the things-
upset if somebody was playing with my money.
Well, I think I would give them a tip, but then I would give them like the origami apple on top.
Okay, then that's
Right,
fine.
Not just because you don't want to unravel it or anything. But I think it's cool. There's a restaurant near me where they have a bunch of them in their display case at the top, and I'm like, I want to learn how to do that. So I found that kit, and I'm going to figure that out.
Okay.
All right, David, did you have another question?
Yeah, just one last one. I just noticed in that same area, there's a choice for job invitation messages from recruiters.
Mhm.
Do I want that? I want to say yes to that, right?
Yeah, you're looking for a job, aren't you?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have it on, so I've got it on now.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
And that's actually, I haven't seen that often, so that's a relatively new one, isn't it?
That's the thing. They're always changing things up, and sometimes it was called something different in a different area, so I can't say like how new that is, if it is a newer feature or not. Kevin D. Turner's the guy that I look to for new feature changes that are on the platform. But
There we go.
I always recommend going through your privacy and settings at least once a year, just reviewing everything is inside there and making sure that you're comfortable with the settings that they're giving you. There is one thing in the past year that they have enabled, which is the use of your data to train their AI models. And they enabled it by default, and you had to turn it off if you didn't want them using it. So I'm telling all my clients, turn it off, because I don't mind.
Yeah.
I don't mind that they're using it, but ask my permission first. Don't have me opt out of it. I feel like that's a bit it's of an overreach, I think. In the UK, they made it illegal to do so. The UK, it's off by default, and you have to opt in. But here in the US, our rules are a little different, and they're using that.
Mhm. One of the other things to do as a job seeker is make sure that you're leaving your contact information open to everyone, not just your connections. So if you're including your email address in your contact information, or you're putting it in your about section, you want people to be able to reach you without having to use those emails or those messages as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's a personal preference too, especially sometimes when I'm working with executive level candidates. They don't want to have their email out there, and they might even be working but looking, so they don't want to have it out there. So they might, in their about section, they might say, to learn more about me, connect with me here on LinkedIn. So they're giving some type of a call to action, and it's a personal preference on, where they're sending people. But I hear what you're saying. If you're actively unemployed and in career
Correct.
transition, let's not make it a hurdle, because not all recruiters and hiring managers are using LinkedIn Jobs. So they don't have an open inbox to you as a candidate. So by making yourself more accessible through your profile, you're making it easier for any recruiter or any hiring manager to reach out to you.
Jim, you have another question.
Oh, yeah, what Brenda was just saying about jobs on LinkedIn. I've found frequently that some of the jobs are taken down. If you go to the employer's website,
Yeah.
it's no longer there. They got enough resumes, they don't want any more. So, definitely go to an employer's website and check the job. Usually they'll end up going there anyway, but that's, I recommend that.
In fact,
It's
I also recommend going directly to the company's website to apply rather than applying through LinkedIn.
I think that can definitely be a good practice, especially if they're not looking at LinkedIn applications as often as they are into their employer website. Related to that, depending on the level of LinkedIn recruiter that an organization has, they might be limited to so many job postings per month that they put on there, or a time frame, 30, 60, 90 days. Whereas on their website, they can leave those jobs up forever. So if you're interested in a company, you're finding a job for them through LinkedIn, I definitely would go back to their website and see what other job opportunities are listed there, because it might not be a comprehensive list on LinkedIn. And their website is typically the place where they have all of the open jobs that are listed,
Yes.
because it doesn't cost them anything to add them there.
Hey,
And
Brenda?
putting on my recruiter hat for just a minute, I get a ding in my email when you apply for a job on my site. I'm not necessarily going to get that when you do it from LinkedIn. So there is that little bit of a delay. So I would do it directly through the company website. And I heard somebody just shout
Yeah,
out
it's
Brenda.
me. I mean, I always go to the company website and apply through there, but I have found, I haven't sent out a ton of applications yet, but it always takes me to a third-party site. Is that just the norm now for companies to use these third-party sites?
Linda, you might be able to speak to that, but it depends on the organization. They may not be hosting jobs through their website. They might be
Right.
using an ATS system, which is probably the third party. Is that fair to say, Linda?
I'm not sure what you mean by taking you to another site. You're talking about things like Workday to make the application?
Workday, it takes me to another page and I've got to put in my information in, and it just doesn't look like it's the company page.
So yes, that may be the idea of filling out the application and the information directly on their applicant tracking system. Unfortunately, companies and applicant tracking systems haven't evolved to the point where they will automatically be able to pull everything from your application, from your resume into the applicant tracking system. So they will ask you to do it again. I wouldn't worry about it, but I would keep going. By the way, one other reason for applying directly on the company website, as opposed to applying through LinkedIn or even something like Indeed. One of my clients that I was working with yesterday was looking at a job and was trying to apply through Indeed and was asking him knockout questions to begin with. But when he went to the company website to apply, those knockout questions weren't there. So that was LinkedIn trying to provide extra value because the company was paying to post the job on LinkedIn as a sponsored job. But when you went to the company website to apply directly, it was really looking at what you were providing, what you were bringing, without those knockout questions being there. So that's another thing to think about. Okay, I think we have time for one more question if anybody's interested. Do we have one more? Otherwise, Brenda, would you like to just wrap up a little bit?
Yeah, I'm dropping a couple links inside the chat here too.
Sure.
And I feel like, I think everybody should know I offer these, but like sometimes you don't. I do offer one-to-one coaching services. So if there's anyone on the call who wants to work with me one-on-one, I've put my link in there for my one-to-one services page. I do power hours. I do VIP packages. I do executive profile rewrites. So if you don't want to do the work on your own, I do offer that for you. And I do have some job seeker programs. None of the enrollment are open right now. There's the Boot Camp with Brenda program and then my Level Up program. If you're interested in any of those upcoming programs, go to my job seeker resources page, which I put in the chat there, and you can sign up to join my VIP email list. So that way you'll get notified when I do another enrollment there. If you also go to that VIP, or rather the job seeker resources page, you'll see that I do have 2 downloadable checklists. One is called Do This Now. So it's a list of items that you should do after you've been laid off, let go, et cetera, from a company. Not just LinkedIn tips, but other things that you should do, thinking about your email, your laptop, et cetera. That's a free download. And there's also another checklist that's called Do This First. So if there's anyone on the call here today or listening to this in playback, if you're working but thinking about making a change, I have a list of items you should do first on your LinkedIn profile before you start your job search. So little things that can help to make sure you're not setting off any red flags to alert your employer, your coworkers, your boss, et cetera, that you're looking for a job, but also help to increase your marketability as a candidate. I like to call it using LinkedIn in stealth mode. So there's not like a setting you can say stealth mode on your profile, but it's more of an approach. How do you increase your visibility and marketability as a candidate, but not throw off any of those red flags that you might be looking? And beyond that, Linda, love the call you're doing here today. We do a similar call on the first Friday every month. Many of you are a part of that community. And that's the first Friday from 10 to 11 a.m. Eastern time. If you go to that job seeker resources page, there's the sign-in link from there.
Thank you so much for doing this, Brenda. This has been fantastic. We've all learned a lot. I've learned a lot, which is one of the things that I love, is being able to do this. Thank you for putting all of your information in the chat, everyone. I hope you got your questions answered. If we didn't get your questions answered during today's session, please feel free to add them back into the chat with the word question, and we'll make sure that we answer them when we put it in the private group. Okay, the link to the private group is there as well. Yep. I will post the chat in the private group very shortly after we're done, or probably this afternoon. Feel free to reach out.
The private group is in the chat.
I just put it back in again.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Not a problem. Okay. And again, that private group, nobody on LinkedIn can find it without having the actual sign-in link. So anything you post in there, just as what we do here, it's free. It's a way of being, having that safe space to ask your questions, to get support, to tell us what you're looking for, to ask your questions, and we'll be able to try and answer them as well. Next week, we're actually going to be talking about how do you upskill or reskill to find those next jobs, because we know that there are some skills that are really important and there's some resources for you. So remember to bring some of your questions about that as well. I'm going to turn off the recording. And what we're going to do is then make sure that you know how to copy the chat yourself. I will put the chat into the private group, but for yourselves, if you go up to the top of where it says Job Search Lunch and Learn, you'll see 3 dots. If you click on the 3 dots, it'll say Save Chat. And that gives you the ability to save the chat yourself. You can also do it the old-fashioned way, which is to highlight the entire chat box and then copy it into a document yourself. but it gives you the option of having all of those links, those resources that Brenda shared, the LinkedIn URLs for everybody here on the call. And by the way, if you're looking at it and you have a limited number of connection request messages, if you recognize the name from this session, I'm hoping that you'll be able to accept the connection request. I will, okay, without using, not say wasting, without using one of those LinkedIn messages, okay? So please do connect with everyone. If you've got additional ideas for topics that you'd like to see us cover, speakers you'd like to see us host, the experts that you'd like to have, please make sure that you also include those, and include those either in the chat, in the private group, or by messaging me, so that we make sure that these sessions really meet your needs. I'm in the middle of planning for the next couple of months, and we'll see you there. Anything else that I can answer for you until then? Thanks, Trish. I want another dance. Thank you. We're all here to support you, to help you, and give you any of the resources that we can. So remember to keep paying it forward, remember to connect, and remember to let us know how we can help you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Good job, Brenda. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Have a good day.
Thanks.
Thank you, Brenda. Fantastic.
You're welcome. Always a pleasure. And you run a really great group, Linda. So thank you again for being a part of it and for all that you do into helping people. You're really great.
Thank you.
All right. I'm going to head out. Take care. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks a lot. Bye.
I'm going to keep the meeting on just for another minute or two so that if anybody wants to copy the chat, they can do so. Judy, are you still there? There you go.